Hello and welcome to the Uni Wrap. I'm Simon.
And I'm Phoebe.
And Phoebes, we are back for our final show of the year. But first, of course, we'd like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people as the traditional owners and custodians of this land and pay respect to their elders past and present.
And welcome to our final show. This is a show run by students for students, and Sai and I will be your presenters today. We've got a lot coming up today, but first of all, we've had a great bunch of shows these past few weeks, and I'm really sad for it to all be over, but excited to get into this one.
Yeah, it's a shame for us all coming to an end, but no, it's been great. We've had a lot of fun along the way, as well as covering some really important issues and shining a light on a lot of things that are affecting young people around Australia, and especially in such troubling times at the moment. Of course, we had a look at all things from China's relationship with Australia, NFTs and Bitcoin, as well as covering the Paralympics and many, many more.
Yes, it's been great. My favourite part of all the shows would probably be the panda packages. I've loved all the different stories we've picked every week, and I guess getting to see what everyone's like and what everyone's doing at home during this lockdown. So it's been great fun.
And of course, in today's show, we'll be covering all things from youth mental health during lockdown, as well as Shaz having an explainer on Muslim culture and shining some light onto people's choices and why people wear what they do wear.
We've also got the impact of COVID on the entertainment and arts industry, and a fun package at the end where you'll all get to see what we're grateful for this lockdown.
Let's cross over now to our newsreader Drish for the latest news.
Thank you, Phoebe. As part of a trial of Victoria's vaccinated economy, Premier Daniel Andrews has announced the number of people allowed to attend Melbourne Cup festivities this year. Andrews said the state is well on track to hit the 70% double vaccination target by October 26. If the state hits 80% double vaccination before November 4th, then 10,000 punters will be able to attend Oaks Day on that date and Stakes Day on November 7th.
On the 2nd of November, 10,000 fans will be allowed to attend the Melbourne Cup under a whole range of zoning requirements, a very, very detailed COVID-safe plan that the VRC have put forward, and Racing Victoria as well. And indeed, the final 2 days of the Cup Carnival will be the Melbourne Cup crowd is a guaranteed crowd. It's part of the trial. We would hope we have then, by that stage, passed 80% double dose, and we can, at that point, confirm that the last 2 events of the Carnival, the Melbourne Cup Carnival, Oaks Day and Stakes Day, will also have crowds of up to 10,000 people with the same COVID-safe.
In a bid to stay on track with his roadmap to freedom and reopen on October 26, Premier Daniel Andrews has announced a sweeping COVID-19 vaccine mandate for authorised workers across Victoria. Jessica Leonard has more.
The countdown is on for Victorian essential workers to have at least 1 dose of an approved coronavirus vaccine, after Premier Daniel Andrews announced a mandate earlier this month.
By Friday the 15th of October, all of those authorised workers, that is people who are going to work now and are not having to work by law from home, will need to have their first dose. They will need to have their second dose and be fully vaccinated by the 26th of November.
While industry leaders have welcomed the move, Belinda Setnar, a casual relief teacher, is challenging the policy in the Victorian Supreme Court. Ms Setnar is arguing that the mandate is discriminatory and breaches human rights laws. Justice Melinda Richards will hear the matter on the 25th of October. Meanwhile, 3 Victorian members of Parliament are set to be banned from Parliament next month after refusing to comply with a proposed motion that parliamentary staff must have their first vaccine dose by October 22. Opposition leader Matthew Guy has indicated that he'll back the motion, meaning it would pass in Parliament. However, according to The Age, Liberal Party MP and member for Forest Hill Neil Angus has told Mr Guy that he will not be getting the jab, but Mr Angus is yet to publicly comment. Liberal Democrats from the Upper House, David Limbrick and Tim Quilty, have said that while they are vaccinated, they are not willing to provide their medical details to Parliament, citing human rights reasons.
Prime Minister Scott Morrison has announced the international border will reopen next month for states that have reached 80% vaccination rates, starting with New South Wales. The proposal outlined by the Prime Minister follows discussions with the new New South Wales Premier Dominic Perrottet about fast-tracking the rollout of home quarantine. The move away from 14 days of hotel quarantine for vaccinated travellers is regarded as a crucial step before international travel can start ramping up to pre-pandemic levels.
Tomorrow, New South Wales will begin a new chapter. It will open up safely as part of our national plan and stay safely open. This will be a moment to cherish for people right across New South Wales. Reuniting with family and friends, having a beer with your mates at the pub, getting a haircut, going to the gym, all things that we once took for granted, but now we know are so important.
Gladys Berejiklian has resigned as Premier of New South Wales after an investigation has been launched by the Independent Commission of Corruption to whether she breached public trust after awarding grants to community organisations. Panara Baker reports.
Gladys Berejiklian has resigned as Premier of New South Wales after an investigation has been launched by the Independent Commission Against Corruption, or referred to as ICAC.
That I have no option but to resign from the office of Premier. My resignation will take effect as soon as the New South Wales Liberal Party can elect a new parliamentary leader.
The ICAC is investigating whether she breached public trust in awarding grants to community organisations in the New South Wales region of Ravina between 2012 and 2018.
The corruption watchdogs are further investigating was there a conflict between Ms Berejiklian's duties and personal interests when she was in a relationship with former Liberal MP Darryl Maguire. Mr Maguire was a local member in Wagga Wagga when the two award grants were promised to the Australian Clay Target Association and the Ravina Conservatorium of Music. Ms Berejiklian will also be stepping down from the office of Premier, in which said to give New South Wales Parliament a new leader in government a fresh start. This will trigger a by-election in the seat of Wallaby, in which she's been held by her since March 2003. It has been announced that Dominic Perrottet will be the 46th Premier of New South Wales and is the leader of the New South Wales Liberal Party. He was sworn in by New South Wales Governor Margaret Beazley at the Government House on the 5th of October 2021.
Another resignation, but this time for Australia's Conservative Chancellor Sebastian Kurtz. He has resigned to pull his coalition government back from the brink of collapse after the junior party demanded his head as he was placed under investigation on suspicion of corruption. The move by Kurtz, who denies wrongdoing, satisfied his coalition partner the Greens and came just 3 days before a special session of Parliament at which they were preparing to back a motion of no confidence that would have forced him out. Malaysia's Prime Minister says citizens who have been fully vaccinated against COVID-19 will be allowed to resume domestic and overseas travel from Monday. He says the decision has been made as 90% of the country's adult population is now fully vaccinated against the disease. Malaysia has been among the Asian nations hit hardest by the virus, recording well over 2 million infections and more than 27,000 deaths. Staying overseas, researchers and health professionals have been celebrating after the World Health Organization approved the widespread use of the world's first malaria vaccine. With more than 260,000 children under 5 dying from malaria each year in sub-Saharan Africa, this development, decades in the making, could save thousands of lives. Children are considered to be the most at risk from dying from malaria, as unlike adults, they have not had a chance to build up immunity. Melbourne's weather. Today it's partly cloudy with a very high chance of showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening. Still cloudy in Bundoora with a minimum of 11 degrees reaching 21 degrees in the afternoon. We'll now get to sports with Josh Ward and Patrick Morrow.
Hello all, welcome to the 4th edition of the Sports Wrap. This week, Patrick Morrow and I talked about the AFL trade period, the NRL Grand Final that happened on Sunday night with the Panthers getting the win, and of course, the T20 World Cup that is coming up in Oman and the UAE in 10 days' time. Here's a look. They bring in George Hewitt in free agency, a defensive midfielder who can run both ways, and Adam Jerry just adds that polish in midfield, can set up players inside 50 like Harry Mackay and Charlie Kerner. I reckon it's a terrific signing.
The big interesting free agency for me was actually seeing Mabior Chol deciding that he'll head up to the Gold Coast Suns due to some family reasons and the rest of it. which is great to see for Gold Coast.
Last year, there was a bit of heartbreak in the grand final as well, but it's very well deserved, isn't it, Pat?
Yeah, it was a really good game. Great to see Nathan and Ivan Cleary win a premiership together. Pretty awesome. And I think it's one of the first father and sons in a while, Josh.
What do you expect from this World Cup, which will be held mostly in the UAE, but also a couple of games in Oman, of all places?
I have a feeling the West Indies might go back to back just with the form that those players have had.
England, their squad is very strong as well.
But Australia's hopes, I'm a bit, touch and go. It could be anything. I'm hoping Glenn Maxwell just hits a nice, 100 and that keeps us happy.
Thank you, Josh and Pat. We'll cross back to our presenters, Simon and Phoebe, for more stories.
Thanks, Trish. The past 2 years have been tough on businesses and families, but especially for young people, with many young people losing the regular freedoms we've come to expect, often for months on end in lockdown. Field reporter Savannah Pocock went to find out what kind of impact this has had on young people, what the experts have to say, and some tips to try and stay occupied during lockdown.
Vic Health is launching Future Healthy, a new initiative to support the health and well-being of young people in Victoria. Vic Health's Melanie Feinberg says this initiative focuses on creating a healthier future after the COVID-19 pandemic.
We want to really support their health and well-being. So Future Healthy is our investment of $45 million over 3 years, and we'll be funding new programs that support young people to begin to build back better after this challenging period.
Melanie says that a big focus for Future Healthy is improving mental health.
In particular, that social connection that a lot of young people have lost over the last couple of years. 71% of young people across Victoria say that staying socially connected with others has become one of the most important issues to them during the pandemic.
According to GP Dr. James Best, who specialises in behaviour and development, Lockdown 6.0 is taking a toll on young people's mental health.
It's been a cumulative effect, and people's resilience has been slowly eroded away with each sequential lockdown. And also the support that was given to earlier lockdowns, like financial and government support, which were less present in more recent times, that has led to things like job losses, people not being able to access financial support. And that can really affect young people in particular, especially people who are trying to rent or are looking for work, even part-time work to support study and such.
Jade Jutopoulos says the COVID-19 lockdown restrictions are causing her to experience FOMO.
It was a year of 21st for me, so a lot of my friends' 21st have been cancelled this year, which is pretty upsetting. And I just feel like it's my young years when I'm meant to be travelling and having fun, but that's all been put on hold now.
For La Trobe University student Sabrina Wilmot, the restrictions have negatively affected her day-to-day life.
I did lose my job at the start of COVID because we went into lockdown. I've been very unmotivated even to do little things like cook for myself.
The founder of the mental health organisation, Love Me Love You, Lance Petroni, says the uncertainty is causing young people to limit themselves.
A lot of people are restricting themselves in what they believe is an opportunity to do something. There's restrictions that we are in lockdown, distances and time curfews, but we're trying to understand what opportunities are available and control what you can and not what you can't. Post-COVID, we're going to see a real big spike in the challenges that are being faced in our community.
Lance says it's still important to be grateful for the small things and opportunities that you have.
You create motivation through your actions, going for simple walks with people in your house, getting out in the air, looking at the sun, riding a bike, going for a run, meditating, sitting in a park, having conversations with people, bringing it right back. Try cooking, listen to music, and understanding what your motivation is to come out the other side.
Jade says that during lockdown, online Zoom calls with her friends and spending time with the family is helping her stay connected.
I've been trying to go on walks with friends or my mum and brother, just get out and do something. Also, we've been playing lots of board games.
Sabrina says that lockdown is giving her the opportunity to get more in tune with her creative side.
Recently, I've been doing a lot of sewing and creating new outfits and writing music and distracting myself from everything that's going on.
Lance Petroni adds that focusing on a simple approach to make yourself more positive during this time can be very beneficial.
We've become so complicated in our lifestyles that we've complicated our process to feel good. We're seeking instant gratification from a lot of things, and if we don't get that health benefit or that feeling of happiness and joy really quickly, we just don't believe something's worth it. I think it's about the process of stripping it back.
Dr. James Best says that this difficult time will be over soon.
Try and hang in there. Everyone's doing it tough. There will be an end. There will be improvements in this situation that's been going on for a couple of years now. It can be really hard to sort of see that we might emerge out of it, but the signs are looking good that we're getting our vaccination rates up and such. So hopefully things will start to improve soon.
Lance says it's important to work on your self-care plan and to understand which people you can turn to when things are difficult.
I don't think it's a big thing about coming out the other side better. People keep saying, oh, coming out the other side of COVID better than you went in. And I think it's about coming out the other side okay.
If you're struggling during this time, make sure you reach out for help. Here are some crisis support service numbers that are available 24 hours a day.
Thanks, Savannah. It's great to shed some light on youth and their mental health this lockdown. A lot of us are struggling and we need to know, I guess, how to help ourselves and where to reach out to if we do need to get that help. It's been really hard, I guess, with studying, work, social events. A lot of it has been taken from us, but I guess we are doing what we need to do to get through this and to stay safe.
Yeah, of course, and everyone's affected differently, and it was great to just have a deep dive into just what kind of impacts it can have on those young people, and like you said, just what resources there for them, and should they wish to seek help.
Yes, and next up we do have Shaz. She's going to be explaining and answering some of your questions about Muslim culture and also sharing her story on why she wears a hijab. And Shaz has more.
Hijab. Jihad. Two words we hear every so often. But what do they really mean? Let's spend a bit of time and unpack what these two words really mean, starting with hijab. The correct term for the head covering is actually khimar, meaning to conceal or cover. But somehow over time, the hijab is what we now refer to it as. Hijab literally means barrier or partition between people, and it first referenced men in the Quran, the Muslim Bible, to lower their gaze with respect to women. Hijab isn't just about the head covering, it's also how one models their behavior through moral conduct. It's a protection in a way from unwarranted attention. So this is my story. When I first wore the hijab, it was ironically due to catcalling. Every single day I would walk this particular path to work, and this particular time was during winter where I'm donned head to toe in a winter jacket and pants. I'm fully covered up, my hair was out, that's all you could see. But every single day I would have these construction workers who'd catcall, who'd whistle, who'd say unwarranted things, and after a while I really got tired of it. Whilst it was quite typical for them to do so, it bothered me. It was uninvited. So one day, literally overnight, I thought, why not don the hijab? Why not wear the hijab, the headscarf? And I did. And that very morning, walking down the same street that I was used to every single day, not a single catcall, not a single unwarranted piece of attention. It was basically silence, and I truly felt empowered. That empowered me in ways that I never thought would empower me, where I could walk and not receive any unwarranted attention. It was great. People wear the hijab in various ways according to their belief. Some cover just their head, while others can extend it to cover their chest and even their face. There is a popular misconception that women who wear the hijab are oppressed, that their fathers or husbands force them to wear the hijab. While this may be the norm in some cultures, Islam in fact prohibits compulsion in religion.
Wearing the hijab is an integral part of my identity. I wear it as an act of worship to God, but I also deem it a gift to be identified as an ambassador of my faith.
The hijab to me is an act of worship. I wear it because it's my personal spiritual journey to connect with my God. I believe that the hijab empowers me to step outside and contribute to society positively, still preserving my faith and identity.
I proudly wear my hijab to strengthen my connections, foremost with my Creator. My hijab compels you to connect beyond my exterior physique. Without needing to be the same, your reaction connects or disconnects us.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Tan and I embraced Islam in January 2020 last year. I wear and practice hijab for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructs the believing women through the Quran to wear a veil that covers their heads and chest. And for the believers who submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are of the successful.
I wear the hijab first and foremost because it is a commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to me, the hijab means that I am empowered. It means that people can't judge me based on my looks, but who I really am and my character.
Now moving on to jihad. The word became synonymous with 9/11 when Osama bin Laden made reference to it. And to this day, it's always had a negative connotation. So what does jihad really mean? The literal meaning of jihad is to struggle or to strive. In Islam, it refers to jihad of the self or the struggle of one's desire. Meaning, controlling one's ego, desires and temptations is in fact known to be a greater jihad than physically fighting your enemy. The only justification for war according to the Islamic scripture is to achieve peace and as an absolute last resort. But going to war has a list of provisions. A government would first need to declare it. It is then sanctioned by a panel of scholars. The army and generals would need to then ensure, among other strict guidelines, that women and children are to remain untouched. In short, it's a bit of a process. While jihad has been popularized by terrorists and justified as retribution on the battlefront, it's only accepted as a defensive response. The majority of Muslims, however, consider the true essence of jihad is to be a better Muslim, to be a better human being.
Jihad is about striving and struggling in the path of Allah to be a better Muslim, to be a better person, because God doesn't expect us to be perfect, but He expects us to try, and that's all He wants.
Jihad to me means struggling and sacrificing myself for the sake of my Creator. This includes sacrificing my emotions and my desires. Even though I love my desires and I want to fulfill them, for the sake of my Creator, I will put them aside and I will accept and I will love what my Lord loves.
Thanks, Shaz. Yeah, it's great to hear a little bit more about Muslim culture, and I know for myself personally, it wasn't something that I was super knowledgeable about, so it's great to hear your perspective as well as others, just to learn a little bit more about Muslim culture. It's certainly something we can all keep educating ourselves on and keep learning.
The arts and entertainment industry has been majorly impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, facing lockdowns, changes and uncertainty. Performers and backstage crews are struggling. Nikki Theokari has more.
Melbourne is Australia's cultural capital with one of the highest degrees of commercial art galleries in the world, accompanied by a thriving theatre and music scene that welcomes internationally renowned productions and performers. Colin Lilly is a Scottish singer-songwriter living in Alice Springs. He auditioned on The Voice 2018, where the nation fell in love with his unique vocal abilities. As an artist, he explains how COVID has affected his livelihood.
There's two sides of the coin that we can flip over. I can be the frustrated, the angry, the poor bugger me, I'm lost, it's what do I do, what am I going to do? Or I can turn the coin over and have the element that family thought it was great to have me. They thought it was one of the best things to have me home, because I'd been on the road for a solid, with occasional coming back for 2.5 years. So the family were happy to have me back at home for a while. But there's something about that. I am a performer, and being home for too long just drives me nuts. But I guess last year I delved deeper into songwriting. I've managed to release music this year because of it. I'm releasing more music this year. And I guess it made me reconnect with the things I felt I had lost.
COVID has affected the whole arts and entertainment industry for not only artists and performers, but for students as well, who in essence will be Australia's next generation of artists. For many students across the nation, remote learning has been difficult. However, for Olivia Brennan, as she is majoring in set construction at the Victorian College of the Arts, also known as VCA, her studies require practical learning, and so she has been given a permit to return to campus.
Definitely affected it a lot, especially being a set construction major. Like, that's kind of impossible to study from home. Like, learning how to build a set is just not something that I live in an apartment as well. Like, there's no room for me to build anything. So it's been quite difficult, but obviously now I'm very fortunate to have a permit to come back, just because they're considering our shows like an exam. So we're able to come back and do some shows, but it's still not the same, and it's still incredibly difficult considering how hands-on the industry is already.
Victoria's current roadmap outlines that entertainment venues will reopen in Phase B, which is presumed to be October 26th, when 70% of the state is fully vaccinated. At this phase, it is said that 50 fully vaccinated people can gather outdoors for pubs, clubs and entertainment venues. VCA theatre student Annalise Menner gives her insight on what she believes the future for performing as a student and audience member will look like.
They told us that we're not coming back for the rest of the year, which was extremely upsetting because they kept feeding us hope all throughout this part of the semester. For schooling, I think, well, in the performing arts area, I think there's going to be so much uncertainty for at least a couple of years because they've never dealt with anything like this before. And because we're so practical in what we do and we're so hands-on and with people all the time and in close proximity to people all the time, it's going to be difficult to manage if outbreaks happen again. As for actual performances outside of the schooling area, I feel like we're going to be seeing a lot more of outdoor theatre, like Shakespeare in the Park, which always is a hit. But I feel like people are wanting to branch out into that sort of spectrum of showings. You'll definitely need a vaccine little passport to go see indoor theatre.
The feeling an artist gets when performing for a live audience can sometimes be indescribable. But when they have missed out on so many opportunities, there's just one way to put it.
Seeing people's faces. Being able to say hello to people. And I think being able to express myself the best way that I have learnt is the way I know how to express myself the best. And, you know, just to have human conversation with different humans again.
The Melbourne Theatre Company have updated their website saying,
in addition to existing health and safety measures, it is MTC's expectation that audiences will be required to show proof of vaccination in order to attend MTC productions when theatres reopen. This is the directive outlined in the Victorian Government Roadmap.
And I think everyone should, as soon as you can, go to see a show, support the arts, because it's people's livelihoods, really. I'm absolutely going to go to every concert, every theatre show, every art exhibit, everything, and I think other people should too.
While Victoria has a roadmap set out for the easing of restrictions, there is still so much uncertainty in the air due to vaccination rates. However, the show must and will go on. Nikki Theakari reporting for the Uni Wrap.
It is so unfortunate that the entertainment industry has been impacted so much by this latest lockdown, and I guess the whole pandemic in general. The entertainment industry has been on and off, and mainly off performing this year. But luckily restrictions are easing. Lately we have been told that Sydney Myer Music Bowl will open again, and the government is trying to, I guess, open regional Victoria up and trial the vaccine passports with outdoor entertainment venues.
Yeah, and it's all very exciting at the moment as well. I think I've certainly booked in for a festival early next year. I think there's a lot of hope that we can finally get back to going to some of these big events that we all enjoy, and that things can open back up, because it is such an important part of, you know, young people's lives, having fun and going to festivals and just being able to have live music again will be great.
Yes, speaking of entertainment opening back up and I guess events starting to happen again, the Melbourne Cup is coming up, and they have announced that over 10,000 people will be able to attend.
While the AFL might have been able to complete their season over in WA, many local sporting organisations didn't have that luxury. Field reporter Josh Ward went to find out what kind of impact COVID has had on local sporting organisations, as well as what the vaccine passport means for local sport moving forward.
COVID-19 has had severe impacts on plenty of areas. Northern Football Netball League CEO Peter McDougall believes local sport has been one of them.
Last year, we could not have foreseen that, or we couldn't have imagined that next year would have been more difficult than last year.
Some, including Grant Dowler, believe it's impacted not just the playing aspect, but the social aspect as well.
The football club has provided a community group for players and for supporters, and a real outlet for people to be able to join with other people, which a lot of social cohesion has been missing.
McDougall was grateful that they managed to at least play some games of footy, as well as finishing the summer netball competition in 2021.
To get out there on Good Friday at the two grounds that were venues that were playing on at Eltham and Epping was fantastic to see the number of people that couldn't wait to get back out to the footy, whether it's playing or spectating.
And whilst plenty have left interstate to play community footy, Dowler isn't too concerned about players not coming back and playing for Latrobe.
Maybe not the demographic of Latrobe. I think Latrobe, potentially the younger demographic, it may not be so difficult.
I'm here at Surrey Park, home of Surrey Park Football Club and Surrey Hills Cricket Club. Due to the ongoing COVID situation, the Panthers footy season was cancelled last month, and like every other cricket club across Melbourne, the Surrey Hills Cricket Club's season has been forced to push back yet again.
If we do happen to get to 80% vaccinated, which is a big if, we then give teams, clubs a couple of weeks to maybe get their act together and then sort of put COVID protocols in place.
Maloney mentioned the pandemic had some impacts on some of the smaller clubs in the North West Cricket Association, with sponsorship helping the bigger clubs.
I think there are some clubs who are out there, and we're wondering about, how they can get any way forward.
Maloney believes vaccine mandates may have to come into effect in order for the season to start.
If we're going to open up everything, it's the same with not only just cricket. I mean, this looks like the way it's heading, unfortunately.
He's also hopeful that cricket can somehow go back to normal once the COVID pandemic is over.
History shows us these pandemics are around for a while, and we learn to cope with them, and then we seem to overcome them.
McDougall is also excited about footy potentially returning on a full-time scale in what is the NFL's 100th year anniversary, even with the scars of the past.
They may not be as visible. They might be under the surface scars. But I think, yes, we will come back and get back to some type of normality next year.
And when local sport truly does come back, it won't just bring joy to the community, it'll bring the community together yet again. This is Josh Ward reporting for the Uni Wrap.
Thanks, Josh. Yeah, it's great to see that local sport potentially could be getting back up and running, and fingers crossed next season we can finally go through a season without any interruptions and no stoppages of play, and we can finally get to a final series and get back to just what we love doing and going out on a Saturday and kicking the footy around. It's all looking very exciting.
This week we've also got a very wholesome panda package for you guys. You'll be seeing what we are grateful for this lockdown. Hope you enjoy.
What I'm grateful for while taking Upstart Live is the opportunity of meeting some amazing people in my class. And Lucky, of course, who is our tutor. The personalities that came out through all the packages, through all the conversations was amazing, and I will certainly keep that very close to my heart. It's been a pleasure getting to know everyone and for the opportunity to do so.
I'm so grateful that I still have a job, my family's small business is still running, and that I get to eat lots of yummy cakes every single day.
Something I'm grateful for is having a non-corrupt leader to to look up to in Gladys Berejiklian.
Therefore, it pains me to announce that I have no option but to resign from the office of Premier. My resignation will take effect as soon as the New South Wales Liberal Party can elect a new parliamentary leader.
So she mustn't be corrupt.
In order to allow the new leader and government a fresh start, I'll also resign from the New South Wales Parliament once I've consulted the Electoral Commission on appropriate timing for a by-election, given the COVID restriction.
Hey guys, so there's plenty of things I'm grateful for in lockdown. My family, the countless DVDs and DVD player that I've got, but also the fact that there's still sports around, including the return of the NFL. My Cleveland Browns are doing well, representing the dog pound here, and the fact that Pittsburgh are doing absolutely crap.
Something I am grateful for is my family, and while I still get to see them every day, I'm quite fortunate to be able to still spend time with them and see them while many other people haven't seen their family in months. So I'm really grateful that I'm able to still see them.
Hi guys, something I'm grateful for this lockdown is my dog, Ellie. Say hello!
Hey guys, it's been a while between hits, but feeling pretty grateful to be able to get back out for a hit of tennis when the weather is nice and sunny like it is today.
And I just love to see our final panda package. Taylor was hilarious as per usual, and it was great to see just how grateful everyone was and what they were grateful for. Very wholesome and very nice.
Yeah, we've been covering some pretty intense stuff, and it's just always nice to have something lighthearted to finish off on and just, yeah, like you said, find out what everyone else is grateful for. It was great to see you with your dog and as well as Pinar and Shaz sort of opening up a little bit about what they're grateful for, and yeah, it's just really nice to see what everyone else gets up to.
What a great final show. A great bunch of stories this week covering mental health, which is very important. Also, I guess, educating ourselves on Muslim culture and talking about things that we wouldn't usually talk about.
Yeah, it was great to have a deep dive into the sport and entertainment industry and just see how they've been affected with COVID and what the plan is moving forward for both of those industries. And of course, always great to have our panda package there at the end, just something a bit lighthearted to reflect and see what everyone else is grateful for in the Uni Wrap team.
And for more information, as always, make sure to check out our website and our Instagram. And to keep up with the Uni Wrap team after our final show, you can check out all our individual ventures. And that is the final wrap for the Uni Wrap. Thanks for joining us.